am worried that it's not. Hold on.
There we go. There we go. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Playtest Tuesday. I just realized you see my whole life in the back here. There we go. Much better. Uh, I forgot that my bed was behind me. This is off to a great start. I'm gonna just take a minute. Okay. Hi. I hope everybody is having an amazing Tuesday. Welcome back to our I don't know. We've done so many at this point. I'm not trying to count them anymore. Our Playtest Tuesday event. I'm so excited that you're all here joining us tonight. We will be playing Relics, a game of angels, which is a very, very cool game in which the players play angels abandoned by the gods, looking for answers on the edge of either despair or triumph. Who knows? I guess we'll find out tonight. The really exciting thing about this game and what's going on with it is that it is currently in the process of doing a new a development of an expansion. So all of these really cool artifacts, those pictures that you saw, those were representative of a bunch of new artifacts that are getting added to the game and a bunch of new content that's being added to the game. And you can check out the Kickstarter in the link below. And yeah, that pretty much covers the whole business of what Playtest Tuesday is and what we're going to be doing today, which means it's time for you guys to stop looking at my face. I know that's all you really came here for. But let's move on to the main event with Relics, a Game of Angels. I am passing the torch.
Hello.
Woo!
Hello.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Steve D. I'm the designer of Relics, and I'm going to be taking you through a bit of a demo today. And yes, as Rose said, we are on live on Kickstarter right now for launching an expansion. We launched Relics back in 2019. Had over 500 backers, smashed through 3 stretch goals. Beautiful hardcover book. Now we want to make some more. So it's also a chance, though, for people who missed the Kickstarter the first time to come and get online, get onto it, and get the hardcover and get our beautiful tarot deck that comes with it. I'm joined today by Sarah Lynn, Matt, and
Kelly.
Kelly. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Um, what I'm going to do is just briefly introduce the setting and the game. And then we'll get you guys to tell us about your characters, and we'll do a little bit of the shared character generation because that's one of the things that really sets this game apart. Is there's a lot of collaboration in how you build your characters, which most RPGs don't do. Um, so, Relics, the system briefly, we'll just touch on that. Uses the tarot deck. When you're trying to do it, there's complex mechanics that we have for using a blackjack mechanic if you want to sort of do really detailed uh, conflict resolution. But today we're just going to be using the simple version, both of which are in the rulebook. And in this case, most of the time when you're pulling it, when you're making a test, you're just going to pull a card from the deck and look at the number in the suit. If it is a 1 through 6, it's a failure. If it's a 7 through 10, it's a partial success, or what we call a grudging success. And if it is a court card, it is a full success. If it is a major arcana, it may cause a miracle to occur if it is one that is the matching one for your character. Or otherwise, it's usually, or if it's the devil, it's a critical failure. If it's the world, it's a critical success. And if it is if otherwise it is a grudging success. If it is none of those, so that's pretty much the entirety of the rules, besides the actual sort of character aspects. So we'll go into that when we look at your characters. So briefly about the setting. So Relics is a game about angels set in the modern day, using inspiration from things like Good Omens and the Prophecy films and Dogma and Neil Gaiman's work and all sorts of things like that. So familiar to all sort of those things. In our game, Relics, yes, is about fallen angels, but not fallen as in cast out as demons. You are someone who has left heaven for a variety of possible reasons to come to Earth. When God originally created the universe, she breathed all this life into it, but she couldn't, in fact, interact with it because she was not of this world of matter, being entirely made of supernal elements. So she created angels who are sort of like herself, but able to interact with the world. And they came into the world and they created many, many things and shaped it in their image. And then along the way, they encountered humans and they tried to lead humans into being a better version of themselves. But it seemed that every time they interacted with humanity, they ended up causing tragedy, despair, and death. So eventually, God passed a law that said that angels could no longer interfere with creation and it had to be left alone to make its own course. Now, a lot of angels objected to this. They believed that since they had created it, it should be something that they controlled and could rule over. And they became basically the demons. They rebelled against God and sought to either control or even destroy the earth. Many angels just wanted to prevent this, so they wanted to come and stop the demons. But to do that, they thought they had to fall to earth. Or as we say, there are various reasons that angels would come to earth. But when both angels and demons descended from the heavens to the material realm, they found that their powers were extremely limited and locked away in these items that are called relics. And so they became involved in basically a cold war where they had to work in secret against each other to try and stop the machinations of demons and preserve humanity as best they could, living secret lives amongst humanity over thousands and thousands of years. Just recently, before we get to that, there was a loophole in this fact that their powers were shut off. If the angel was able to destroy their body, they could put a little bit of their soul into their relic and pass that to a human who could use it. And the idea was that that could give the human some power to act in a powerful godlike manner and lead humanity, or indeed fall to evil. But this has created various mythological and powerful items that have inspired our great history and legend throughout the history of mankind. So things like Excalibur or the Holy Grail, magic carpets, all these kind of legends of powerful items are probably just angelic relics that have been buried through time. But in the last, just before any game of relics begins, word has come that God has solved the problem of angels and demons fighting over the universe by closing the gates to heaven permanently. The gates are sealed entirely, and all the angels and demons of the heavens are now fighting the final battle beyond there, and presumably the universe is safe, except of course for all the fallen angels and demons who are now trapped on this side with no idea if God's coming back and what they should be doing now. But with that slamming of the gates, all the relics that angels were carrying have begun to wake up in power and return their full essence into the world, giving angels incredible power. So the what has been a long cold war between angels and demons is now rapidly developing into a hot war and an arms race to control all these powerful items. So you guys are going to be playing 3 angels who we've done some of the pre-generated characters for. We have just before I get you to introduce yourself, we'll just talk. Angels are defined by 4 aspects, which is sort of their core nature of what they were designed to do as angels. We have the Arya, who are angels of striking. They are the fierce lion. We have Behema, the angel of the strong ox, who are the angels of enduring and resisting. We have the Nesha, who are the angels of speed and swiftness, and of the eagle. And we have the Isha, the angel of the human face, and they are the angels of speaking and counsel. Angels also have a herald, which is one of the great 11 archangels that was the first to instruct them in their dominion, which is their power. Then the force over which they have control, and that determines the miracles that they can perform. And we also, angels vaguely arrange themselves into 6 what they call missions, which are a lot like political groups. Basically, they represent a philosophical choice of what the angels believe is their purpose on Earth. Today we have 2 angels with the helm of salvation, and they generally believe that the best way to make humanity better is to do so from a leading position, to become the politicians and the kings and the priests of humanity and lead them to their best nature. The helm are often considered to be snobby and self-interested, they see themselves as simply in the right position to drive the ship as best as possible. We also have an angel of the sword of wrath, and they believe that their only goal on Earth is to destroy the remaining demons, not care so much about the fate of humanity, who could be considered even acceptable casualties at times. Their purpose is to destroy the demons so that humanity can go on as it should be. With that, I think we can jump in, and you guys can just talk a little bit about who you're playing and your characters. Who wants to jump in and start? All right. Well,
Not it.
I can.
all right.
I was like, I'm just not sure how much to give. So I'm going to play Otis, Angel of Whirlpools. I am from the Helm of Salvation. And one interesting thing I thought was fun on this sheet was it said my descent was due to carelessness. I did not so much as make a singular defining choice as simply realize I had come to feel more at home below than above. I barely noticed the final step, which I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah, so we have the game has fully random character generation, but everything's on a table, so you can always pick. And we have the descent is why you came to Earth, and that's a real defining factor of our angels. Otis is a Nesher, and his main power is the dominion over countenance, which is the power of illusions. And yeah, so you guys start with a few low-level miracles. As I say, when your signifying card comes up, your relic awakens and gains a more miracle. And that's one of the ways that you gain more powers as time goes on. Right, who wants to jump in next?
I'll go.
Kelly?
Yeah. So I'm Pelly, Angel of the Lifting Breeze. I am an Isha. And Isha can speak a sentence no more than 12 words. And if they know it to be true and believe it to be true, it will be taken as absolute truth, which is absolutely fascinating. And I am with the Helm of Salvation.
Fantastic. Yeah. And your dominion is over witness primarily.
Yeah.
The ability to see things at great distance or know things, sense things, and know things that normally things would require supernatural powers.
Ooh.
And finally, Matt, you're playing Shimmer.
Yep. Shimmer, Angel of the Shining Light. I'm the one that's hating all the demons in the world because Sword of Wrath signifiers the sun. My descent was just pretty much after a bender, it seems. A little bit of madness. I don't really remember too much. I just woke up and was here.
Things got so out of hand so fast.
You're going to have to forgive all my pronunciations. I'm from the Deep South area.
Yeah, it's close enough. Yeah, I mean, area R. I would put a harder R on it, but from the south, that's how you do it in AR.
Okay.
We
I
are
think I'll make
trying to
myself
do
manage.
English approximations of ancient Aramaic words anyway. So, yeah, and your herald is
Too much
Metatron, also the angel of countenance and illusions. So we have two angels of
one of my
Metatron.
miracles.
You've got miracles about changing what you look like. Right. So what we're going to do now is a bit of what we, as I said, shared character generation. So the way that skills work in this game, because angels have been around for thousands and thousands of years, we thought it wasn't really appropriate to just have a skill list. Instead, we use a flashback mechanism, and we do it in charge and we do it in play as well. And you actually see this all the time in stories of immortal beings, where every time they want to talk about something that to establish a fact about their past, they use a flashback. And the conceit of this game is that if in the middle of the game we suddenly need to pick a lock, then you can do a flashback to when, say, in the Middle Ages you had to escape a prison and you learned how to pick locks. and you've always had this skill. It's just now we're learning about it. It's and that dramatic conceit of just because it wasn't written on your character sheet until now doesn't mean you didn't know it. It's just now we're learning about it as part of the narrative. And part of character generation is to go around and actually give memories to other players. So what we do in this case is that each angel will recall memories that they have of the other angels, because you've all been on Earth for hundreds and hundreds of years minimum. I think the youngest one of you is Shimmer, who came down in the Age of Exploration. And yeah, so what we get you to do is we get you to describe, each player will describe a memory they have with another angel. This is a description of a memory that you keep, but they are going to get the skill out at the end. As it's a memory about them, you're going to sort of describe a scene where they are the central character. You obviously witnessed it. You might not have been, the angel might not have known you were there, but you witnessed it and have a memory of this. So it's got to be something that's fairly striking and dramatic. And where they were doing something. And then at the end of that description, the other players, the player who you were describing, they get to decide what kind of skill that was representing. Now, this is a lot to sort of jump into. One of the ways that you can think about it is looking at things like your angelic work or the things that you did in history when you arrived on Earth, like who came first. And we also have tables in the book as well to sort of generate central emotions or backstories. For those kind of things. Also, sometimes you get points of disagreement in terms of like which mission you joined, or points of comparison. So both of you, two of you serve Metatron, so you might have a reason to have a memory of sharing your skills. We've also sort of skipped over. You also get a memory in the full rules of just for yourself. So you always get a little bit to control your own background, but we're just skipping over that a little bit today. So what we're going to do is when everyone I want each of you to think about a memory that you might have with each of the other angels. And if you've got something, we can just drop in and get started. So have a think about your shared histories, look at your timetables, and then, or as I say, if you're interested, we can also draw and get either a generating emotion or a generating hook using the tarot deck. So for example, we can look at Peli came down sometime in 800 to 1200 CE. So
there's a lot going on.
Yes, there was a lot going on. That means you are older than Shimmer. So you might have met Shimmer when they first landed. You were younger than Otis, so Otis may have come and helped you acclimatize. So do you have any idea where in the world? That's another thing to think about. Where in the world did you begin? Angels have what we call a semblance, which is basically a sort of default camouflage that makes them look human, and it's usually based on the first humans they encounter. And that gives them a sort of a sense of what they look like for the rest of their life, and also their best guess of what their culture, what culture they may begin to follow. But angels are all tourists, basically. They are approximating human existence, never quite complete. And that's why you also, all of you have a mark, which is a sign that indicates that your disguise as a human is not perfect. So, does anyone have anything that jumps out? Would anyone like to draw from the deck?
I actually had an idea for Peli.
Mm-hmm.
And my idea was kind of, they were like sitting on like a hill or somewhere, admiring the feel of the wind in their hair, and like just kind of combine. I mean, say something like, isn't like the breeze amazing, like how it can make things move and just kind of like leave it there. I see that. I was like, I've read part of your sheet, and I was like, huh, that could be interesting.
I make
So
things
what-
go this way.
Yes.
So just to add to that, though, this is something that you remember. So why is
Mhm.
it something that is particularly sticking in the mind of Otis?
I think because just seeing what the humans created afterwards, with um, hot air balloons and airplanes and all of the technology, just kind of she thinks back to like the simple days when you could just sit and enjoy the breeze and talk to a fellow friend about the simple things.
So where was this happening? Describe this scene. You were
Um,
watching Pelly watch the air,
hmm.
but where and when
um,
were you?
I'm going to say probably around, I'm going to say like 950 CE.
Hmm.
And then I was like, I'm comparing kind of our two areas. I would say somewhere in, because we both have China related, somewhere in China, just kind of like on a hill overlooking maybe like a small village.
Yeah. Um, Now we also need to be able to get a skill from this. So, um, can you tell us a little bit more about what was going on? Why were you in China at that time? Um, and so Pelly was sitting there watching, and what were they looking at? Just feeling the breeze. Were they so?
I would imagine looking, let me get back to their sheet. I was like, I'm bouncing back and forth. Um,
This isn't
that
easy, especially at this first one.
um that they were, maybe since they can speak words, and if they, if they know it to be true and believe it's true, maybe they were there trying to inspire the people of the village to um, do something, maybe fight back against invaders or prepare themselves for war. And I was there because I am a bit more um, kind of, I was there maybe making things. Um, I was like, because it says that I also have the power to cure wounds. So maybe I was there in kind of preparation for an oncoming battle, getting ready to try and help and heal the
Yeah.
masses.
So this time in Chinese history was known as the time of 5 dynasties and 10 kingdoms. It was a time of a great upheaval. Um, as the Tang dynasty fell and the Song dynasty rose.
Mhm.
So we may find out that you have some sort of connections to that. So what we normally do after we have this memory, we've got you sitting on the hill watching. Based on the description, Pelly's player gets to choose a skill. Now, in this game, we interpret skills very, very openly and widely. There's a list in that document at the end where there's 100 different skills that sort of can be thought of as a skill. It can anything that can actually be a sort of a power that isn't supernatural um, is something that could be represented as a skill. So that includes things like contacts and things like that. But this could be something like uh, it could be something like meditation or careful contemplation. It could be studying, knowledge of the weather and meteorology. It could be keen eyesight or keen senses. It could be perhaps studying. Maybe you're studying the political climate, or as you say, you'd come there to inspire people in some way. So you get to choose any of those ideas that really strike you as something that is going to be your skill that you were demonstrating in this scene.
And
Uh,
I'm choosing this.
yes, yeah, you're choosing this character.
Aha. Could I? Ooh. Haha. Because I'm checking out. There's almost like sounds odd, but I'm like picturing, because we're so high,
Mm-hmm.
and there seems to be a sense of like turmoil going on in the air, that almost like surveillance Could be
Yeah.
something I picked up.
Absolutely. Yep. Yes, so that's a great possible skill. So what happens now is you note down the skill, which is surveillance,
Mhm.
and you note down the angel that gave it to you, and a bit more about the memory. And now we've established that in your backstory, the two of you were together for some reason in about 950, 900 or so in ancient China. And that allows us, when we do further flashbacks, we can build on that story. We don't have to, but we build these sort of established parts of your backstory. And it's important to feel free to be able to tell any kind of stories you like. As long as you don't contradict anything we've established, you can depict the character however you want. And they certainly can sort of correct your memory. But if you want to make them be doing things that might be considered immoral or mean, you're allowed to do that. And then they can try and correct that when they explain their side of the story, because memories are not always perfectly reliable in that regard. So why don't we get a memory then with Pelly and Shimmer? So if either one of you wants to get started. So yeah, you've written Otis, surveillance. Yeah, perfect.
I think I can work one for Pelly.
Yeah.
By the time I had arrived, she had made her way to the New World, and we met
With the Vikings.
a little later.
Yeah, way
Uh,
after that, but
we first met during the Salem witch trials. You were
Nice.
desperately trying to defend some of the accused.
yeah, that sounds about right.
Things didn't go quite as well as you had hoped.
So
Okay.
let's dial that in and describe an actual
Let's see.
an actual scene. So let's remember you are watching Pelly doing something or failing to do something. She's trying to defend someone. Is this at a trial? Is it actually someone being dragged to the stake?
It was pre-trial. She was trying to convince the mob that the accused wasn't, but they drug her off anyway.
Right. So she was in the center of the village.
Outskirts.
Yep.
Yep.
Fantastic. Yeah, so we have this scene where the people have sort of gathered around. They've chosen a woman to be the target of this thing, and Pelly is desperately begging them not to. And you were there as well.
I was pursuing my goals in case one of the accused was actually under the influence of a demon.
Right. So you certainly thought that there was possibly an actual suspect here.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay, so
I know Pelly could have convinced the crowd otherwise, but I don't know how strong her range of influence was. She may have ended up getting accused herself. So I think she dialed back a little bit.
Ooh.
So she was perhaps unwilling to expose herself. Well, that's something that you can perhaps disagree about, and maybe you weren't helping as much as Pelly thought you should be because you were too busy looking for demons. Finding out these kind of issues to disagree with.
Dang.
The human wasn't a witch.
And argue about, yeah. So
beyond my concern.
And yeah. So we go to Kelly to try and again. You get to pick this skill that you have here. So it could be things such as investigation about the character themselves, or it could be intervening through convincing people, persuasion. It could be simply something physical, like you were actually trying to wrestle with people. What do you think particular skill Pelly would have sort of expressed in this situation? It could even be something like being able to deal with the fact that you couldn't save them.
I'm torn between I'll say investigation.
Yep.
I'll say investigation.
Useful skill. Yep.
Investigation.
Gotta rack my brain for Otis.
Yeah.
What can always be good is to sort of to do turnaround, right? So you have this now. Presumably, you knew that Shimmer was there. Looks like he wasn't helping you with what you were trying to do.
Right.
So you might have another reflection now. It could be at a similar time or the next time you met, where you continued to argue or bristle about this kind of issue. Another issue where there may have been demons. So yeah, that can be a great way to inspire us to go, okay, well, now that I know that I have this, point of difference with you and past beef, let's see what happens the next time we met. And it may even be the next day,
Right.
or the next moment. It just be, but from your point of view. So if you have anything that, of that, continuing this discussion with Shimmer.
Totally.
Otherwise, we also can, Shimmer can have a scene with Otis.
You guys have such a gap.
I'm the new kid.
Yeah,
on
certainly
the
there's a long gap between 700, 950 and what's the late 18th century witch trials, or were they?
That's like 1650s ish.
Yep.
1640s, 50s. Maybe a little later. It's 1600s. You want late 1600s. But
so that's a lot of time to fill in, about 600, 700 years. And this is why we, over a long campaign, we recommend that this is a game that's best for, about 9 to 12 sessions usually. But that gives you a lot of time to fill in more and more of your backstory and also learn more about your character, because you find out, even quite late in play about some things in your past that you might not be particularly proud of, or don't quite gel with your vision of yourself, which is always a really interesting part of the story. So anyone else got any thoughts about filling in gaps, about when you arrived? If you'd like some inspiration, let me know.
Well,
So,
I had kind of a question.
Yeah.
Because I had a thought. So, can our characters, do we know or have a sense of the future? Would I know if I set something in motion in 1600 that by a certain point, like the 18 or 1900s, it could advance enough where a discovery had been made?
Yeah, look, it's not something that you can necessarily see the future, but absolutely, if your memory is about, well, I prompted the discovery of this, and then I came back a few hundred years later to see how they were going. I it could be like I encouraged the Vikings to mix carbon with iron and start people on steel, and then next thing I know, I looked around and everyone had steel or whatever it is.
Okay.
Yeah, you can certainly. Angels have a very long view of history, so you could be describing a reunion or a reconnection or anything like that.
Okay.
So this would be a memory that perhaps Otis has about Shimmer.
Yes. And what I was kind of thinking, even though I'm kind of looking into it to see, is have it be in, I was like, have the initial memory be in the 1600s, actually, December 31st, 1600. Because that
Yep.
is when the East India Trading or the East India Company was founded or granted royal charter.
Pirates.
Yes. And that sticks out with Shimmer because we had a conversation about how this could go really good or this could go really bad because they're, taking goods from China and bringing it to England and all of the kind of shenanigans that can get down and things like pirates and how again it can go really well and prosperity for all, or it could bring ruin to one or both of the nations.
Right. So we've got a time where, so this is something where you're thinking back on the formation of this East India Company.
Yes.
But let's narrow it down to a scene. Is this in an office? Is this watching the first ship sail off? This is a moment in history. We would see it on the screen. What part are we watching?
I would say the ships sail off. Like everything's been signed, everything has been finalized, and you're just watching the ships leave England, heading to China, and just being like, well, this could be interesting. Because shortly after is like the Opium Wars and everything, and it's like this could be really good for both countries, or it could start wars and lots of death and destruction, and who knows where it's going to end up.
So the two of you are on the docks, and let's try and see if we can think about what Otis was doing, because we want, remember, this is also a memory of them doing something that's stuck in your mind. So was Otis consoling? Was Otis hopeful? Was Otis angry?
Otis was hopeful. Like maybe they helped just like finish loading the last ship, and now it's just sitting on the dock being like, I think this is going to be good.
Okay, so that could be something as wide spanning as planning, or foresight. It could be he was loading the ship, so it could simply be strength, physical strength, athletics, that kind of thing. It could be knowledge of ships and navigation as well, since you were loading stuff, or of trade and transport. Goods. Running a business, that kind of thing, at a high scale. Logistics, all sorts of options here. So what are you thinking for Shimmer? Oh, sorry, hang on. Is this? Yeah, this is for Otis. Yeah.
This is Otis talking about Shimmer. Yes.
This is Otis. Yes. Yes, we got our name. I got my name switched up. So Otis was talking about Shimmer. Yes, sorry. I wanted Otis to describe what Shimmer was doing, not what Otis was doing. That's what I meant. That the other way. So was he loading? Was Shimmer loading the boat with you?
Yes.
And how were they feeling? Again,
That is
yes.
a good question.
And you're allowed to say again. So you're hopeful, but you
Mhm.
have this memory of Shimmer that you were there. What why was Shimmer there as well? Like where you were there. But why was Shimmer there? And this is one of the harder things about this game, and what is different is that I want you to sort of dial into creating somebody else's character a little bit.
Mm.
So you're allowed to say, you're allowed to make these statements about somebody else, which is very, very, we're often very hesitant about that. It's like, is that okay to do that to your character? But it actually really builds up a really interesting dynamic because you become this sort of more shared control over these aspects. So you can decide what Shimmer was doing and thinking in this situation.
Mm. I would say Shimmer was. I was like, that's a good question. Shimmer was maybe interested in the exploring things like how much can they safely carry? Like, how heavy are they filling these ships? How low is getting into kind of those more technical aspects.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So interested in that part of sort of human science and human technology.
yeah.
And was that perhaps a point of difference between the two of you? Was you're thinking about the future and Shimmer's just thinking about, oh, these ships are really interesting and
Yeah.
yep. All right. That's a nice distinction. So Shimmer, do you have any idea what skill you might want to take from this?
Well, if I was part of the loading process, athletics or logistics would make sense.
Yep, both good choices.
Probably athletics.
Yep. Okay, so we now know where you were at about 1600, I think we said.
Yeah.
Listen, you don't have to be an expert in history to play this game. As I said before we started the stream, we have a huge guide to the history of the world at the back of the book. Also, we like to say that your angels were there, historians weren't. So if you say something's true, no historian can disagree with you because you were actually there and you remember. As historians are just guessing. All right, we need some more. We need a memory that Pelly has of Shimmer, and we need some memories of Otis.
Yeah.
Let's see.
So we know that
we're together around the Salem witch trials.
Yep.
Ooh. Hear me out. There I was, George Washington on the battlefield.
You were George Washington?
I was George Washington. That's a bold statement.
As long as I'm not Benedict Arnold, okay.
Hang on. I was George Washington at the Battle of Valley Forge.
Yep.
My dude. 12 words. Anyway, so I'm the worst. So what I'm thinking is if we're sort of crossing paths at the Salem witch trials, then few less than 100 years, I guess, go by, and Revolutionary War juts out. So I think I see him sort of prowling the streets as during the Boston Massacre.
Yeah.
And sort of using the Boston Massacre as a cover to sort of get, like, maybe he's got like a word out or intel that there's something going on in the streets of Boston that he's gonna like hunt somebody down because XYZ. So maybe he's like using the massacre as like a cover to get the person go hunting, if you will.
All right. So you're there caring about human society, and once again, Shimmer is off fighting his own battles.
Yep.
It's 1770, streets of Boston, and so you saw Shimmer hunting demons on the streets or something, or hunting something presumably. So that could be it could be stealth, it could be tracking, it could be investigation, it could be military knowledge as well, since they were sort of blending in and hiding. It could be search in that case, just like searching through items. Could be some, you could be making inquiries, so it could be like gather information. All sorts of possibilities there.
If I was hunting, tracking makes more sense.
Tracking is good. Yeah.
Word.
So Shimmer was there, and yeah, fantastic. So, and now we know that Pelly was briefly George Washington.
I sure was. It was there. I said it's 12 words. It's true.
Yeah,
I think therefore I am.
It's one thing you get to choose at the start of the game is your historical impact, and one of the things that are optional is that one of the things on the table is that you were best friends with a famous historical figure. So we've had Marilyn Monroe in a game, who was also apparently a vampire. Last time we had
I would believe that though. Like that's true.
Yeah,
that's real life.
Last game we had the guy who shot the Archduke of Austro-Hungary and accidentally started World War One. And then we realized that one of the other people in the group was the Archduke, trying to.
Oh my God! They shot France.
Yeah. So, and they have this thing like, yeah. So you jumped up on the side of my car and shot me in the head, and I'm still kind of angry about that. Right. So
you could have told me you were in the Black Hand, man.
We need some memories of Otis. So we know that Otis has traveled a fair bit and is interested in the history of China. Otis is someone that has power over water, and created the idea of centrifugation.
Let's see how messed up I can make Otis.
Nice.
The time
Now
frame
we're
jumps a little closer to the late 1930s, early 1940s. She actually nudged the two German scientists towards discovering nuclear fission. She was hoping it would improve the world, but it got a little twisted along the way, and she brought about the Manhattan Project.
Nice.
Nice. So again, let's dial this into an actual specific scene. Both of you are in a place. Is this in a room where the government is making choices, or is it a scientific room?
Let's see. It's probably in a government meeting where they're originally discussing the possibility of it as an energy source to replace electricity and all these others, because it's infinitely renewable and everything else. She's pushing for that.
So we're in Washington.
Yes, Washington.
We're in the White House.
In a very secure bunker underneath.
Nice.
Because we don't want this getting out.
So both of you are there. Tell us, a little bit about why Shimmer was there, and did you know that Otis was going to be there, or do you just be like, oh shit, that's Otis over there? Which often happens with angels. They turn up at historical events. They're like, oh, you're here too. Okay.
That'd be the best. Here's nuclear power. Oh shit, you're here too. Nice.
I didn't know she had a hand in nudging the project this direction. I was there for my own purposes,
Mhm.
which conflicted with hers. My side
How
won.
so? All right. So
Uh,
you were trying to say let's use it for war, or
yes.
nice.
Um,
But you saw Otis arguing for the other side. So that could be science, physics. It could be argument, persuasion. Even though you failed to convince people otherwise, it could be politics. It could be
bureaucracy.
being able to sort of get access. It could even be, as I say, skills can be quite expansive. So it could be something like, I still have access to the U.S. government, or allies in the U.S. government could be a skill, I guess. Although we usually like to sort of specify what kind of sort of things they help you with, like. So it could be like political information as a skill, or inside information into movement at the White House, or something like that. It depends. So yeah, like the example in the book is that if you have a friend that gives you sort of police information, then later that friend is going to help you move a body. That's a separate skill. That's one is information, the other one is body movement, but it's the same contact, but they're two different skills. So what do we think, Otis?
I'm thinking maybe bureaucracy.
Bureaucracy, yes, excellent skill. All right, so now we need one more, which will be from Pelly for Otis.
Let's see. I'm thinking. So we cross paths in 950, give or take. And then 30s, 40s.
Yeah, so we know that you were. We know that Otis was in Tang Dynasty China, and Pelly was there too, and Otis was later in Britain, and then in the US in the 40s.
Ooh. What if, and I'm spitballing here, probably from 1312. I'm wondering if, since we're sort of on the cusp of big trade and whatnot, what if I witnessed them? Because we had to make our way westward. And what better way than to be on parade with good old Mansa Musa? He got stuff. He got lots of stuff. But
I don't know who. Can you spell that?
MANSA space MUSA. So Mansa Musa historically was one of like the richest dudes like in the world at one time, and would like parade along trade routes with like all of his stuff being like, look how wealthy I am. And everyone was like, oh my God, you're so wealthy.
Fantastic. Yeah. So
and that was his whole shtick. I mean, he did other stuff too, but that's what he's known for.
Early 14th century, yes. The wealthiest individual in history. So was one of you Mansa Musa, or were you just on his journey?
I already claimed George Washington. I don't know if I can claim Mansa. Me and Georgie Porgy, we go way back.
So you run into Otis at some point here, and what is going on? What's the? It's obviously a long march, but there's also issues of carrying the wealth and showing it off. So you run into Otis. What is Otis doing when he on this journey?
I want to say, since it's definitely becoming of the age, because he makes it to Mansa Musa makes it to Mecca.
Yep.
Say that 5 times fast. I want to say like we stop in a village, like passing by, and I'm witnessing Otis sort of give bits, like sharing knowledge of like different kinds of teachings. Like it's I'm reading if I'm on the right page. No, that's me. Ha ha ha. Yeah, giving I don't want to say like engineering knowledge, but almost like helping people sort of figure out how to either like purify their water or how to set up like, desert bound irrigation or something like that. Sharing some sort of like aqueduct aquatic knowledge with these poor people,
Yeah. So
poor farmers.
Otis is definitely the angel of whirling water, and could definitely be doing that kind of thing, and perhaps certainly interfering with history in that regard. So that could be teaching, it could be knowledge, it could be engineering knowledge, it could be construction, building devices. It could even be, it could just be farming, agriculture. All sorts of options there for you.
I think I'll do construction. Because
Construction is good.
Thinking of like building waterways and aqueducts and all that.
Later,
and there's a nice contrast scene here because like this is an enormously wealthy journey, and you're on this journey with all this gold and silver and wealth being shown off, and you pass this very small village where Otis is teaching the poor people how to purify their water. Maybe there was a little bit about whose priorities were more important at that time.
They were mine.
After all, you can't change the world if you don't have wealth and money, right? So you've got to be where the important things happen. So now we have a bit more about who we were and our interactions with each other. During play, you can do what is called calling for a skill. So angels are not very necessarily skillful at handling the real world. And that sort of plays into that sort of example in a lot of fiction where angels don't know how to use computers. Yep, absolutely.
Thanks, Disembodied
sure.
Rose.
Fantastic. So do we all want to take a break for 5? Yep. And stretch our legs? Yep.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Fantastic. So yeah, the way that calling for skills works is I'll say there'll be a situation where you need a skill, and it may be more than you might expect because you can't just assume that you can drive a car or use Google very well because you're an angel and you don't know these newfangled technologies. Then you can specify the skill you want, and another angel will go, okay, I remember the time that you first drove me around in a car and it was in the 1920s and you were a gangster or whatever it is. And you get the skill, but they get, again, control over the scene. In that case, though, you get to specify what skill you want. Normally, we play with about 7 chips per game, but we're not going to worry too much about counting that because we're just going to play a short session today. But yeah, that's the main also mechanic of memories. So we might take a 5-minute break here, and we'll join us back in a minute. I'll go make myself a cup of tea, and we'll see you all soon.
Alrighty. BRB.
Yeah.
See ya.
Woo woo.
Woo!
1 second.
Woo-doo-doo.
Welcome back.
Good
We
morning.
made it
Just had a biscuit with my coffee. Sorry, I didn't want to share that with everyone.
back.
All
Okay.
right.
I like your mug.
Thank you. Right, so we have our 3 characters, and that's how character generation is always done with shared memories across the whole table. We usually do one to your angel to your left, one to your right, and then that gives you a couple of memories to build on, and then you can build up over time. And as I was saying, you can call for a memory at any time, and that includes like in a split second, because that's the logic of flashbacks. You can be punch coming towards your face, and you can go, "Hang on, I'm going to flashback to when I learned to box." And as I said before, the rules are simply about drawing tarot cards to see if you succeed. A memory will sometimes just let you succeed automatically, depending on what you're doing, or it might give you what we call a blessing, where you get to draw 2 cards and keep the best. There's also a bane, where you can draw 2 cards and take the worst. So that's pretty much the core of the system. We're going to run through a little bit of a scene now, and just get used to using that and doing some flashbacks maybe. So this is going to be set in a large American city, somewhere in, let's say New York, because that's where all end of the world stories happens and lots of angel stories. Now this is about so the three of you are in New York for your own various reasons at this time and day. As I say, God has left the creation, and it's caused a lot of scrambling and people trying to figure out what's going on. And one thing that's really important now is trying to track down and locate relics, these items of power that have had power throughout time and maybe getting more and more powerful as time goes on. Otis, one of your mortal contacts is a scholar called Lawrence James at a nearby university, and he studies ancient Mesopotamia and the fall of Rome around the Roman Empire around that time in the Middle East, and he's also someone that is involved with a lot of archaeological digs. So he's a good source of information for historical information. So if something comes up like, "Hey, we found this amazing ancient relic," you can be like, "Hey, that might be something that belonged to me or a friend of mine." Which is why you were interested when he gave you a call saying that he'd recently received some packages from digs in the Middle East, which he was adding to the Museum of Archaeology at the university, and he is aware of your shared scholarship, and so he's given you a call on your amazing new telephone to say that you might like to come into the college and have a look at some of the new items, since you seem to be so knowledgeable in the area, and help them classify them. So the question is, when would you like to go and see him? And do you want to notify any of your fellow angels about this? Tell me what you might do, what Otis might do if he got such a message.
Otis would if they thought, because I'm sure there are times when Lawrence calls and it's nothing. If they honestly thought it was something like a relic might be found, I would want to head there right away. But I wouldn't tell my angel friends, because I don't want to embarrass myself again, because I've already done that once in front of Shimmer, and that's not happening again.
Yeah. But it's like boxes come in with lots and lots of stuff. That's the way museums go. That's the way digs go. There's certainly been times. Is that a kitty cat I saw? No.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Excellent. It's possible that there could be something of value in there. Certainly something that might be interesting. Angels can tell relics by touch. If they're very sensitive, they may be able to see them, but there could be just a lot of boxes. So that's fair enough. So you head out to the college and to the museum. But when you arrive at the museum this morning to find things, you see that there are, in fact, some police cars around, and the police are setting up what seems to be for a crime scene. And this is outside the doors of the museum. You can probably slip past them if you're very quick and get into the building. You can ask people what's going on. They seem to be, trying to sort of control the crowd a little bit, but that's all you can tell right now. An ambulance is pulling up as well without the sirens on, suggests that there's been an injury.
I would.
Just to be clear, apart from your mark, angels do appear to be human. Their semblance is fairly protective, and they can pass. You can drop your semblance at any time, but then of course people are going to see you as a 8-foot tall winged beast with elements of the lion, the bull, and the eagle as a part of your body, which is quite distressing for most people.
Yeah, I think I would try and sneak in. And I would say, with a flashback, Um, there was a
Yeah, so
time.
perfect time. Now, remember, if you want a
Yeah.
skill, you don't get to call to say what the memory is.
True.
Somebody else will be giving you the memory. So, yeah, like sneaking past people is definitely the kind of thing that would require a skill. So
Yes.
you're asking for that skill, but one
Mhm.
of your other players will provide you the memory. So they're thinking about a scene where they saw Otis being sneaky or sneaking past people. And again, you've got all of history to do it in, and you can follow up on scenes from before. So we know that Otis uh, was in Washington D.C. Um, trying to get people to use fusion for less military purposes. We know that he was in uh, Africa in the 14th century, but that's about all. And we know when Otis has run into the two of you. Um, so we're looking for a scene where Otis was using sneakiness.
Let's
If
put
you
her
like,
in New York.
yep.
She
And again,
was
yep.
attempting to burglarize an art gallery that was showing some of Monet's early works. I had stopped in after hours just to admire my creation's creation, since I
Yep.
guided Monet
My
towards
creation's
impressionism.
creation.
Yeah.
Love
So
it.
Shimmer, yes, was as the creator of light on water and how it reflects. Shimmer was instrumental in creating impressionism and guiding Monet. And there you were looking at Monet's work, and then all of a sudden, Otis comes in through the window, um,
She was,
attempting to steal something.
well, Otis was
Was
decently skilled at that. She bypassed alarms and avoided the few guards that were running around. This was probably mid 1900s, 1950, 1960. So there wasn't a lot of complicated alarm systems. It was mainly human guards she had to avoid.
Yep, yep. So it's sneaking past people, not like breaking in through
Right.
locks and things like that.
Yeah.
So excellent. All right. With that memory, you're absolutely able to simply just wait for the right moment. A little bit of distraction among the police, and you can slip easily into the museum. Um, uh, there is a main hall, and then moving through that, there is a loading area where they receive packages and things like that. There is indeed a few crates here. Some of them have begun to be opened. That there are four large shipping crates, but there is also, you notice immediately, a mortal body of Lawrence James lying on the floor with a lot of blood surrounding the body. Definitely dead, as far as you can tell.
Oh. that makes me sad because Lawrence had so much potential.
That reaction. Oh.
And then once I kind of confirm that he is dead, I would probably try and see if I can sense or touch any relics without disturbing too much that the police might have seen.
When you go to examine the body, you can see that he's actually been sort of quite violently torn apart, which is quite shocking. Something with a lot of force would have done that. As for items themselves, there's quite a lot of items here. It would take you some time to go through and touch each one to see what they are. Some of them are small as just a little piece of fragment. Some of them are large vases and statues. It will take you probably at least an hour to go through all these items and touch every single one and examine them. The police may be back at any time. So if you want to start digging, you might need to bar a door or something like that.
I would try to set up kind of some sort of like alarm, like maybe like a tripwire with the small bell or something to let me know someone's coming.
Okay.
So I can hide.
where are you going to get a bell or a piece of string?
Um,
Tell me a
well,
bit more about this. Unless you carry such things on you all the time.
um, well, because it's like the back of a museum,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to guess the packaging, the items have to be wrapped in something. So
Yep.
maybe like they're wrapped with like little string bundles to help keep them protected. And then a bell, I would probably take. I'm sure in the load-in area there's like a little like handbell to get attention if no one's at the desk.
Sure.
And kind of tie it to that.
All right. Yeah. You can make something that's makeshift.
Mhm.
Right. So, and then you're just going to start unpacking everything. Are you being particularly fast, or particularly slow and careful? Is it just
Um,
dig, dig,
I'll
dig, dig, dig?
try and be slow and careful because I know that the police are around, and if I'm going too fast, I'm going to make too much noise and draw attention.
Okay.
So still trying to be quiet.
All right. So I'm gonna ask for a test to see if you are able to basically be aware of somebody coming, that your system is working. Since you set that up, I'll give you a blessing on that test. So you're going to draw 2 cards, and again, like if you could add a skill if you wanted to being more perceptive. Otherwise, you can just make a test and see how much notice you get. Um, in that case, you're just going to be drawing 2 cards.
Mhm.
From a tarot deck and tell me what you draw. And you're basically looking for the best of the cards.
So I got a King of Cups and 10 of Wands.
Right,
Ooh.
so a king is a full success.
Good
So
for you.
that's sort of a yes and getting what you want. So your system works very well. You're prepared. You've gone through 1.5 of the boxes when you hear the police are coming back in. Now you have a moment to hide. But where are you going to? What's the plan? Are you going to be standing there going, "Gosh, look at all this," or are you going to be hiding behind a door? Are you going to run out the window? Run out the other door. There is a door that you can get out of the way.
Does like they would probably be searching Lawrence's office.
Yep.
So is there like a colleague's office or something that's unlocked that I could hide in there or like hide under a desk or something?
Absolutely, yes. You can definitely duck into another room that enters out into this area. And the police sort of come in, and they've got the coroner with them. They're taking photos of the body, and they brought a gurney to load the body on. But it looks like that's going to be taking a while. So you're sort of stuck in this office for the moment while that's going on. You can listen in a little bit. They're just talking about taking photos, notice all the blood splatter. Nothing of particular relevance as yet that you can hear. Just discussing the nature of the crime. Let me see if I can find a scene to bring you other people in we'll break from there. I'm just going to look at your character sheets and see. Okay. Let's cut to Shimmer. You've been patrolling things of the city a little bit, looking for demons, and you actually last night were following the track of what is called an imp. Imps are sort of demons that fall to earth but get so messed up by the experience they become these sort of just creatures of pure rage and wrath. They barely look human. They have long claws and horns, and they're fairly unintelligent. So they're often used by demons as just their attack dogs or guards, and they're dangerous, but they're simple as opposed to because they can't hide. You can track them down, and you spotted one, but you lost track of them when you were near the university. So you're actually nearby. And you can see the police have arrived here this morning. It looks like from the trail that you were following that this creature has gone into the museum itself. but you can't simply walk in. At least not from where you are. Again, you can sneak around and come in another way or something. But it's interesting that the trail ends with the sign of police.
Going in the front is out of the question. Let's see if there's a side entrance that'll
Yeah.
get me
So
at least in the building.
There's a couple of different ways that you could go in. There's a side entrance that you go in through, like the college, that then leads in. That would be, or you could go around the back to where there's a loading area. There's definitely one policeman you can see over there, but there's less presence. Or you can sort of work your way through the college itself,
Let's
which
go
would take
through
a little bit longer.
Let's use the college
Yep.
entrance. Better to be safer
Um,
than.
Fantastic. So, what does Shimmer look like? How are you dressed? Is anyone going to notice you as you come in?
No. Since I'm probably look early 20s. I'm dressed casual, not
Yep.
business suit, anything like that. Most people would mistake me for maybe a grad student.
Yep. Okay. All right. So you're able to navigate into in towards the museum, and you come into the main hall, and you can see that ahead that in the loading dock area there are police and that there's medical staff there loading a dead body onto the gurney. You can also sense, because angels can tell these things, that there is another angel nearby, as well as with your tracking senses, you can also feel like somewhere in this building is probably where the imp is hiding, but it's a pretty big museum. So,
I want to try to get a better fix on the imp.
yep. So let's make a test on using your tracking skills. So you'll again get a blessing for that. So you're going to draw 2 cards and take the best.
Best I can do is 8 of Pentacles. The
Right.
other was
So
that.
that's a grudging success. So
It's been so long since I've hunted.
yeah. All right. So I give you the choice. You can either find out where he is, but you're sort of moving around and getting a sense of it will alert the police that there's somebody here, or you can track him, but by the time you get a beat on him, then the body and the police and the body has been taken away. Which would you prefer?
Yeah, tough decision. I may need to. Most important thing is locating the imp. If he goes on a rage, he could cause an even bigger scene.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully I can bluff my way past any police that question.
Yep. Okay. All right. So you sort of just step out into the open a little bit, and you tune into sort of your senses as much as you possibly can. You're moving across the hall, and then you realize that there's sort of an attic level at the top of this sort of tall open building, and you can hear this faint scrabbling of something possibly moving up there. But as you're doing that, the patrol guard near the door sort of spots you, and then he comes over and he's like, "I'm sorry, sir. We need you to clear out of this area. There's been an incident." And he's trying to sort of maneuver his body between you and the further into the building, and do that kind of you're going to move this way kind of action.
I was. Have you seen Dr. Robertson? He was helping me on my doctoral thesis today, and he wasn't in his office. I thought he may have come here to help unload some of the artifacts from the latest dig. But
He's he's like, I don't know anything about Dr. Roberts. I just need you to move outside the building. He's trying to just sort of rebuff you and move you out. You can definitely make you can try to smart talk him, fast talk him around, but that would be something that I would need a memory for. Or you can, you can try other options as well. You can try to just push past him, or you can make a test on your own. If you don't have a memory, I can give you what we call a blight. So you draw twice and take the lower card, but of course things could get worse.
I think trying to push past him would raise even more unwanted attention. So my best bet is hopefully someone has a decent memory for me.
Fantastic. All right, so we want a memory of Shimmer using his fast talk skills. And again, we can build on some of these past scenes that we've established. Maybe, for example, when the two of you were trying to get out of the museum, the Monet Museum. But it could also come from Pelly as well. Anyone got a thought?
Like, I have a few if Pelly doesn't have any.
Oh, please go ahead.
Okay. The first one that came to mind is when we were in DC in the 30s and 40s, watching him sweet talk my brilliant idea for sustainable energy and turn it into a weapon, and just how angry and bitter I was, because I was like, no, we need to help people. We need to help the world. We need to help end this energy crisis. We need to make things better. And it just became my worst nightmare.
Excellent. Fantastic. Yeah. So a bone to pick with Shimmer.
Several, apparently.
Yeah. All right.
I'm trying to turn it to the dark side.
It's only human lives. Let's be clear. Right. So that memory, we see you in Washington, just using that you've got this lovely amount of this little bit of charm and fast talk that just can get past people's defenses really quickly. And then we flash back to you using that same exact tone and insisting that you need to go in and talk to your professor, and you push past this guard and you're able to get further into the building. You can definitely go up the stairs and try to track the imp. Or you can go further in and sort of see if you can figure out where this angel is. You can go and look at what the police are looking at, where they're reeling away the body.
I'm tempted to investigate the body, but I don't think I can talk past more than one at once. So I'm going to continue with the imp.
Yep. Okay.
Whichever angel's here is on their own till later.
All right. You were running up the stairs. At the top of the museum, there's nobody really around, and there's like another level between the ceiling and the roof, which you can certainly climb into. You have to sort of climb up on an exhibit or something, and push up into the ceiling, but that's certainly possible. Meanwhile, what are you doing, Otis? You're still in this in the office. You can hear them wheeling the body away. You can also sense that there's another angel around, which is interesting. And why don't we also just see what are you doing on your average day, Pelly? Where would you be this morning?
That's what I'm trying to wonder. I feel like we're at a university, right? Is that, or they're at a
That's where
university?
they are,
Is that
yeah.
okay? I feel like I would be I'm wondering, just I guess for like relativity's sake, if there's like a courtyard almost that's nearby or like a park of something. I feel like I'm strolling through the park and I'm giving like some sort of something really benign to like a homeless person, like a pair of gloves or a coat or something like that. Doing a little act of charity while enjoying the outside.
Okay. So you're close enough to sort of see that there's a police event going on.
Okay.
But it might not be something that particularly interests you at this point. But you're nearby if anything particularly dramatic happens. Otis, are you still hiding?
Once I'm sure that the coast is clear, I would then continue digging through the boxes.
Okay, so the police take the body out. You sneak back in, and you start going through sort of all the items that have arrived. So I'm going to. All right, let's make a test just to see how thorough and observant you are. Doesn't need a skill, but you can add one if you want. Otherwise, you're just going to just draw a card to see how good your search is and what you notice. And while you're doing that, we'll also get Shimmer to give me just a perception trick. So not really tracking. So again, just a basic test. Drawing a card. Tell me what you get.
7 of Cups.
7 of Cups. That's a grudging success.
9 of Wands.
That's so grudging. Okay. You're going through all the things there, and you notice after you've sort of gone through the 3 boxes, you realize that there seems to be less there than what was on the manifest. Like there's more room in the crates, and you can't quite tell exactly what's missing. But it's like, this doesn't seem like everything. Meanwhile, you see something as you sort of crawl up into the attic. You see the sort of the outline in the split of the light, but it comes rushing towards you, and you've basically only got a split second to react. You can basically try to protect yourself by dropping down, or expose yourself but stay up in the attic and roll out of its way, but it might get a hit on you as it runs towards you.
The attic's a little cramped. I think I'll drop down. It'll probably come after me anyway.
Indeed. You drop back down, and these claws just slice through the air a few inches away from you. And then, as you expected, the imp, very simplistic thing, this twisted, misshapen thing with half wings and long claws, smashes through the ceiling and lands on top of a glass exhibit case, and hisses at you and bares its long fangs and is ready to strike. So all rolls are made by players here. So I'm assuming you're going to fight back in some way. So just tell me what you're going to do, and then we'll draw some cards. And again, if you want to call for a skill before you draw your sword, you can. You do have the ability as an Arya to summon the Sword of Wrath. That's not what it's called. Which is basically a blade of fire that can definitely do severe damage to demons. Or you can just fight with whatever you've got at hand and not, draw the fiery sword.
As long as there's no witnesses, I think the sword is my best bet. In the fight quickly.
Excellent. All right. So the sword just sort of appears in your hand at will. It is about 5 feet long and is a blade of burning fire. And so give me a pull to make a strike. Now, because you are an Arya, if you draw any swords while attacking, that also counts as a full success.
Okay, let's see. Page of Swords.
Right, that's a full success. Okay. It is a swift battle for someone who's experienced with fighting demons as you. The imp sort of leaps forward with you, not really thinking about how to deal with a skilled combatant, and you can just slice off its head, and the body falls to the ground as a sort of burning, steaming, sizzling sump of flesh. Angels and demons tend to sort of dissolve into dust or goo very quickly, even imps, leaving little evidence of their presence behind.
Good. We don't want the police stumbling over.
Yes. So you're watching the corpse kind of just slowly bubble away into gas. Definitely there was a little bit of noise, but it doesn't look like anyone's coming up to see what's going on. What would you like to do now?
I want to go back up to the attic space to figure out if he was hiding, waiting for a chance to escape, or whether he was guarding something that had been stashed.
Right. Yeah, okay. So you crawl up in there, and after some sort of rooting around, you do find out, you do see that there was a place where he kind of crawled in through a smashed couple of tiles, basically. He's broken in and sort of scratched his way through there. And then it looks like you can actually see there's another hole which leads sort of directly down to the loading dock area where there's still blood stains on the ground. And you can actually see Otis down there looking through items in boxes and looking confused.
And no more police on the scene that I see down there.
No, the police seem to have gone off for now. And now, you can see this outside as well, Pelly, that the cops have loaded a body into an ambulance, and and things seem to be settling down a little bit. Yeah, with your skill in surveillance, you can certainly see that it looks like that things have calmed down, and they're letting people back into the museum now, although not everywhere in the museum.
Okay. I think
Shimmer,
I want to start
yeah.
making my way toward the museum then.
Yep. Okay. So yeah, you come into the main hall. You get a sense that your fellow angels are around. You can also get a small whiff of the brimstone smell that angels can smell of demons.
Okay.
But you're not sure where that's coming from. Shimmer, are you going to reveal your presence?
If I can see Otis, I'll, in a quiet voice, loud enough for her to hear. Well, Otis to hear. I had a feeling I'd find you here, always overlooking the importance parts.
What do you want?
Good start.
I'm just trying to get you to realize what's more important. This imp could have done a lot of damage if it had decided to try to flee through these humans.
And these humans may have found a relic.
Which they won't know anything about, but the imp would have, or who controls it would have.
Yes. And if I hadn't been here, it could have probably come and gotten it. Now I'm trying to locate it.
Well, since the hole is through the ceiling of the loading dock up to where I am, this is an awkward conversation. Give me a minute, I'll come down.
All angels can fly, even if they're not Nesha. They can. So you can also just easily drop down and lower yourself with your wings.
Okay, I didn't know it was that big a hole.
You could. It might be a squeeze, but yeah, you can also walk down. Depends how dignified you want to be.
I'll drop down.
Fantastic.
Superhero.
Where are you, Pelly?
Well, I just came in the main hall. Is there can I sort of play like hot and cold with my senses to try to like find them?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that a thing I can do? Well, it says like the power to sense everything that can be sensed, however far are hidden. So I'm assuming I'm playing like hot cold with like the universe.
Yeah, so you don't need a miracle of witness to find angels, but I will get you to do a test.
Woohoo.
You can call for a better skill. Actually, you've got surveillance. Yeah, look, let's just give you a blessing anyway. You've got
Nice.
and you are an expert at witness. So draw 2 cards. Tell me what you get.
I got 9 of cups and 8 of swords.
Okay, so that's still a grudging success. So you can find them slowly and eventually, or you can find them, but someone will be following you as you do. Your choice. Like a mortal will be like, "Who's that person?"
I think based on my experience of not trying to out myself from Salem, I'm gonna go slow.
Okay, all right. You spend your time slowly walking through the museum, making sure nobody notices you, and slowly working your way to find that. So you guys are now. Otis and Shimmer are standing in the loading dock area. What's the plan? Besides arguing.
I'm going to, I'm going to try and locate the missing items. Because it could be that they were already unpacked and they're somewhere else in the area, or someone took them.
Did you check the manifest? There should have been a shipping list.
I did. And that's how I know there's stuff missing.
Well, it might have a better breakdown than item 1, item 2.
I shove it. I shove the manifest in his face. And I'm like, quiet, young one.
Young one. Silence, you fools.
Because the professor would have had to know what to expect. He might have a list in his office.
I was going there, but there were police. And then I stomp off towards the office.
All right, so you guys are walking to the office.
Yes.
All right. And that's where you run into you are walking to Professor James's office when you run into Pelly, who's was sort of was basically on just about to stumble onto you guys as well. The office is right next to the loading dock, so you now know there's a third angel hanging around. When was the last time you all saw each other, or at least when was the last time you guys saw Pelly? This year, 20 years ago, 50 years ago?
I'm going to say the last time I saw Pelly was, I'm going to say, just because I think it'll be funny, at a New Year's Eve party in 1999.
Nice.
And we were in, let's say Sydney. We were in Sydney, Australia.
Cool.
Bringing in a new millennium.
Bringing in Y2K in Australia.
Fantastic.
Yeah, why not? I remember watching that on TV. But yeah, and it was one of the rare times, at least, that I have seen where Pelly just seems to kind of be letting loose and having fun and just being like, come what may, the world's gonna be as it's gonna be.
That is rare.
For
It's
me,
very rare.
seeing Pelly, it's probably been a few decades. She's still kind of ticked about the Salem witch trials and me not helping. But let's say probably the original Woodstock.
Nice.
I really like to party, don't I? Jesus. It's on brand. It's on brand.
Fantastic. All right, so what are we? So yeah, you guys run into each other basically right about to walk into the door.
Oh, good. Another innocent dead body, and you're here not to help it.
Well, I helped all the living bodies that the imp doesn't get to kill now.
Semantics.
Exactly. doing, Pelly? It's been a while.
You know, giving out coats.
Hey, that's helpful.
Ever the charitable. So, dead body.
Yes.
What? What? Do you guys see what happened? Know what happened? Anything? What's going on here?
It was,
I didn't get a chance to see the body. I was chasing the imp.
Sure you were.
his name was Dr. Lawrence James.
I didn't
He,
ask the imp's name.
I don't care. Can I backhand him?
Sure.
I backhand Shimmer
Uh,
and just feel like I'm
I'll
talking
slip
here.
out of the way and let you continue slight smirk.
I don't know if you guys can read this, but on the chat it says, bold of you to assume the dead body is innocent.
He was
Very
my
nice.
friend. How dare you?
I love it. What are you doing? What are we doing? I know you're doing imp stuff. Yeah, cool. What are you doing?
Lawrence called me, said that he got a bunch of boxes of Mesopotamian objects from a dig that he thought I might be interested in taking a look at, that it might have some stuff that we would be interested in. I didn't want to tell you guys until I knew, because Shimmer is Shimmer. And he wouldn't let it down.
Classic Shimmer.
Exactly.
Classic.
Wouldn't let me forget if I called you guys and it was nothing. So I wanted to check it out first. When I got here, Lawrence was dead on the ground besides boxes, and I described kind of what the body looked like.
That was
The
probably
wounds on him suggested he was torn apart by the imp.
Yeah.
if the shipment came in from Mesopotamia, the dig site, there should be a detailed list of the contents. You know how customs are.
Yes. And I gave you what was in with the packaging, and now we're going to Lawrence's office to hopefully find a more detailed list.
Here's the door.
Yeah, you want to open it, or are you waiting for the imp to come out?
I
imp's
opened the
dead.
door.
Unless there's another.
Oh.
The room is presumably like shows no obvious signs of disarray or violence. There is his coat's hanging here, his briefcase is here, his computer is turned on, he's got a diary on the desk. There is there's some filing cabinets. And yeah, what would you like to look at?
I would first probably want to look, like, if there's drawers and stuff in the desk, look through like the drawers and everything to see if I can find this detailed manifest.
Yeah, there is a printout in the top drawer that you're fairly easy to find. It is more detailed than the thing that was attached for the shipping crate. It's been sent over from a dig in what is now near outside Jerusalem, and there's a long list of items. There are a few that have been marked with asterisks. With a pen. So someone's printed this off and just sort of marked a few things. They seem to be items which sort of just seem to be more intact. Like they're not just shard, broken jar, element of bone. It's things like piece of jewelry, vial, hairbrush, things like that. So he's basically noted the things that are more dramatic and important. Anybody else searching?
Let's take a look at his diary, see if he's had any unusual non-college appointments recently. Anyone that might have been interested in possible findings.
Yeah,
because I know the imp was being controlled by someone greater.
So there's an appointment for first thing this morning. Dr. Artan is listed at 9 a.m. There is there is another appointment. There's a listing later on the day with which also says Mr. Ixael, which is spelled Ixael, which is a name that is familiar to you guys. Is certainly, it doesn't mean it's him, but it is the name of a demon that you've heard of. And I'll spell that out.
Is there a college directory near the phone?
Sure.
I want to check to see if Dr. Rattan is another professor on campus or whether he's an outside individual.
Yeah, Dr. Ten is a professor of religious studies over in the department of in the elsewhere in the humanities department.
Okay.
That's all you can see.
It was probably
Has a looks like he's a teacher of divinity and religious studies.
Mr. Ixael. Note that name.
Now, yeah, you can give me. You can now. This is another thing that you can use flashbacks for, because the skill would basically be knowledge of Ixael, and you can tell me. We can find out if you run into him before or run into something else about him. And indeed, that works for other sort of things. If you just want to have more, information, there's always this thing like, well, I want to know about this thing. Or you can just make a bare test, and I'll see if you remember anything about him. That's always an option.
If it's a name of a demon, I want to rack my brain to see if I've encountered the demon in person before, what I know, and then maybe I can see if there's some connection between this, whether it's just a coincidence or otherwise.
Okay, so you are you do want a memory?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's give it a shot.
Cool. All right. So, let's see. You've got 2 from Otis and 1 from Pelly. So, Pelly, this is a memory of you. A memory that you have of Otis, of Shimmer. Just displaying in some way knowledge or an encounter with Ixael before. It can be any sort of, as long as it provides the skill. We can even call it like demonic knowledge or knowledge of powerful demons, as you wish, but you get to drive the memory.
And this is, he has knowledge of who Ixael is, or?
Yeah, who Ixael is and a bit about his MO and that kind of thing.
Okay. So, I'm going to say it's like 1890s, 1900, and we're chilling in like downtown New York. And there's like a street fair going on, and we both notice that this guy is sort of like playing what is it, like Find the Queen?
3-card Monty.
And
yep.
3-card Monty, thank you. And a strong amount of people keep losing, and the math just doesn't make sense more than usual. So I watch him sort of go up and have inquisitions about this fellow and the probability of his 3-card Monty, and he starts to figure out that he's doing it through, magic per se and not actual like cards. So he starts to get the vibe that this guy isn't who he seems, and him having his hunter tracking sense calls him out on who he is, and the guy takes off.
And was that Ixael or one of his servants, do you think, or?
I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go with it was somebody that works for Exhale,
Yep.
and that when he called this one guy out, he noticed a couple more people started leaving that were doing similar shady stuff, and he sort of gets one and is like, gives him the what for. He's like, who do you work for? And of course these are nobodies. So one of them's like, it's Exhale.
Excellent. Fantastic.
Yep. I don't see Exhale running the 3-card money himself.
No.
Unless
He's
he's
definitely
really on hard
definitely like,
times.
give me Earth money so I can do more stuff.
That's right. And there's certainly no end of low-level demons who work for someone like Ixael. Ixael has been around has certainly been on Earth for a few thousand years. He's known for being a demon who has been trying to pervert human history for his own ends. And he's also famous for having beef with a famous human figure who the humans call Jesus Christ. Ixael was planning apparently on. He's had a rivalry with with the angel that perhaps nobody's really sure because nobody was you weren't there yourself, but the story goes that either either Jesus Christ was immortal with angelic powers or he was an angel himself. Ixael was trying to destroy him, and then somehow he did 3-card Monty himself and seemed to both die and not die, escape Ixael's consequences. He didn't get to kill him, and suddenly he's also become this powerful martyr that teaches all these humans about hope. And Ixael has always kind of been like, I'm going to prove this is all a scam, that none of this is real, that this guy was just, faked his death, isn't a real god. And he's definitely interested in historical relics of the Middle East as a result. With that knowledge, you can definitely there is an item on the list that catches your eye, and it is a bit of a legendary item. It's possibly a legendary item that is known again to be dealt with in this. There's an item, a very powerful relic of healing. It's called the oil of endurance, and it is believed. Again, the rumor is that if a body is anointed with this oil, that it can survive all kinds of punishment and withstand even death itself. And one of the items on this list is indeed a small vial of ointment or perfume. If that may indeed be the thing that Ixael is looking for, or indeed there may be other things there. But it's certainly something that that's the item that stands out as like, oh, is that what he was looking for?
It makes me wonder if there's a third player in the mix, because I don't think Ixael would be stupid enough to book an appointment and then steal before. If he was going to steal it, no need for the appointment later in the day.
Indeed. And in fact, look, we're coming up to we've just gone 2 hours, so we might cut the scene there, and we do indeed cut away to Dr. Artan's office, where he is holding this small silver chain with a small glass vial at the end. There's a liquid sort of moving around inside it, and he's just watching it dance inside his eyes and going, at last, the oil is mine. And what he plans to do, we will find out in the future. But there is an opening scene of a game of Relics. Hope you all enjoyed yourselves.
Very
and
much
yeah,
I want to know what happens now.
I know.
I know.
It's like a straight murder mystery with angels. I'm invested.
Yeah.
We have we've got an adventure coming up in the new supplement that is also a murder mystery, and it works really well. So also, things like Supernatural and Lucifer, speaking more TV shows, there is a lot of that kind of thing that you can do with Relics. And there's all sorts we talk about scale and scope in the rulebook about whether you want to just this is a fairly low level adventure, but you can do things right up to things like Constantine, where the state of the whole world is in balance. And that, of course, starts as just a sort of simple murder mystery investigation. So we talk about using a kind of 3-act structure to start from small and build up to the whole of the universe is at stake, which is something you can really do with Angels. And as you said earlier, going bold and big. We want you to be George Washington or Jesus or Hitler or whoever you want to be, or Marilyn Monroe. One playtest we did have, the first one was like, oh yeah, I remember when you killed Hitler, and that was a great way to start.
Oh, that's awesome!
Wow.
Pelly, you can be George Washington. I'm the faceless person in the crowd that no one remembers,
Woo!
but I get stuff done.
Me, I'm Georgie Porgy, and I partied with Mansa Musa.
So is the
We have-
Kickstarter live or going live soon?
It's live right now.
Cool.
We actually had a hiccup when we first launched, and the way that Kickstarter changed the way it was doing postage, so everyone was being charged postage for every level of backing, so we had to restart. So we lost a little bit of momentum there, but we are chugging along. The link should be just below the thing there. Thanks, Jeff, for your comment there. Yeah, so we could use have a look at it. You can also on the Kickstarter download the links to the quick start guide that you can get on drive-through. It's entirely free, lets you see some of the system, and you actually have an adventure to play through there where the Angels are investigating a mysterious casino and basically doing a casino heist in Las Vegas, which is a lot of fun. That's by Jake Nelson. And yeah, so that's all free of charge. And there's also, you can watch other people play through the game and get an idea. And yeah, so this was a chance for us to offer this big new book, which has now over 80 relics in it, each one with a backstory and powers and basically a giant adventure hook. And that's what's easy with this game, is that every item is really powerful and important and worth hanging on to, because if someone you don't like will have it. And it's really easy to write scenarios. So you just be like, oh, this item is in play. You better get it. You better find it. Or you better steal it. And yeah. So we asked people what they wanted to see more of, and that was the biggest thing. So we've got this big book that we want to do, and hopefully also make some more tarot cards. The ones we've got are beautiful, but we're also thinking about doing another print with some linen finish and a little bit more color.
Nice.
Because the tarot is a really popular part of what our customers enjoy. And I'll see if I show you some of the art. So this is just some of the art that we have in our tarot. It's really beautiful. And of course, it's through the book as well. So every one of these characters is actually described in the book as well. So you can use these in game to go, oh, like this is this person. And I mean, obviously that's not a person, but that's a relic,
Nice.
That's
so
beautiful.
yeah, they're really evocative. And we were very lucky with our artists. I don't know if you remember back about 20 years ago, there was a game called In Nomine, which was based on a French game. It was from Steve Jackson Games, and it was one of the major Angel and Demon games out there, basically, and still one of the few. And one of the artists of that was Dan Smith, and we were really lucky to get Dan to come back and work on this. So that's our little tribute to In Nomine. That's another great one.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Mhm.
Yeah. I have to say,
We've just finished.
Hi, disembodied Rose.
Rose is talking to us now.
Ah.
Oh, I think we're pretty much wrapped up. Unless anyone has any other questions.
no, I just have to say, from this little bit I've experienced tonight, I'm loving this system. For me, it's all about the story, and I love how the story and the characters evolve on the fly
Oh yeah.
in this.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And I love how we get to influence each other's
Yeah.
story.
I'm going to get Otis to the dark side and see things my way yet.
Yeah. We think. I mean, that's
Uh-huh.
something that is certainly not something that you see in most games.
Yeah.
And it really does get players really working together in a very different kind of way. And it also means you can find out, as I say, things about your character that you never knew,
Mhm.
which
Yeah.
is always that's sort of the unreliable narrator element. Yep.
Yeah. This
Bye.
has been a
Well,
lot of fun.
Later.
Thank
bye.
you.
All right, people. Thank you so much for an amazing. God damn it! Why is my stuff always everywhere? Fucking A. All right. Thank you for an amazing Playtest Tuesday. I'm so glad that you came to join us for Relics, a game of angels. As always, if you're feeling like you want to debrief or talk about the game, you can jump in the Playtest Tuesday chat in the Discord, and we'll have a little after party. I might not stay too long tonight because your girl is tired. I'm a teacher now, and so kids are exhausting. But that said, our next Playtest Tuesday will be on October 26th. We will be playing Vamp Camp, which is a game that I'm going to tell you about right now. It is going to be really fun. You know what? I can't find it right now. But it's called Vamp Camp. It's pretty much what it sounds like. I'm pretty sure it's like angsty vampire situation. So definitely stay tuned for that. And if you're interested, there'll probably be a Facebook event going up looking for players. And so you can check it out that way. And yeah, I mean, just, stay with us. Tomorrow is Curse of Strahd. Thursday is Metagame. Sunday is, oh God, what's it called? Verdant Pyramid. What a dope name. Anyway, so we have lots of cool stuff going on here in Quelmar. Quelmar is a world building collaborative gaming space for people of all different game styles and all different game design preferences. So that's why we started picking up Playtest Tuesday. And once again, thanks so much for joining us for Relics, a game of angels. And as always, keep rolling the dice.